welcome to The Profitable Dog Trainer. I'm Tennille Williams and I help you to grow your dog training business to be more profitable while staying more fun. And speaking of, today I am talking about why are so many dog trainers dealing with burnout. I've got a whole list of reasons why I think dog trainers suffer from burnout a lot, but let me know in the comments, have you ever suffered from burnout? Did you get through it? And what did you do about it? Okay, so let's dive in. The first reason that I think that dog trainers are dealing with burnout a lot is that when you are training dogs and working with their owners, there's a high level of emotional investment. Sometimes we feel more emotionally invested in getting the outcome that we want with training the dog than the owner is themselves, and that can be really hard. The other thing is you can even form a bit of a bond with the dog. You care about the dog. You really want them to succeed, and sometimes if you're not seeing that same level of commitment coming from the owner that is required to make the dog happier, it can really get to you. And if you take all of that on board for many different dogs over the time, that all adds up. Another type of emotional stress that dog trainers deal with is the stress of just facing and dealing with challenging behaviors. Like if you're dealing with a serious dog aggression case, separation anxiety, anything where the owner is really stressed as well, and you find yourself sort of playing therapist with listening to the owner and helping them, and you're taking on that burden of their emotions as well, that all adds up too. Another way that dog training as a career can affect us emotionally is the pressure that we put on ourselves internally, feeling like we really have to get this result with the dog. And again, we may know that we can get that result, but there's added pressure if we're not seeing the follow through coming from the people that live with the dog, their owner. The second reason that I think that dog trainers are burning out is that dog training is a physically demanding job. You're on your feet a lot. You're walking around. You are sometimes dealing with maybe a dog suddenly pulls really hard and physical strength. You're out in the sun, you're out in the weather, the heat, the cold, all of those sorts of physical factors as well. Physically, it can be demanding because of the hours. A lot of trainers are putting in a lot of work hours. The dogs of all different shapes and sizes and strengths can be a physical challenge as well. And we face potential risk of injury from really strong or aggressive dogs. Or sometimes it's just an accident and we can still get injured by a dog or something that happens while we're working with them. Another really common reason that I see dog trainers facing burnout is working really long or unpredictable hours, really full-on hectic schedules. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I teach in the Profitable Dog Trainer brand, because I teach trainers that you don't have to be working 24/7 to make a good living from doing what you love, training dogs. A lot of dog trainers are working really long, strenuous hours, not knowing that it doesn't have to be that way. They feel like that's just part of the job and they have to do it, especially to make ends meet financially because they're not charging enough, and that's all connected. And there's just this belief that when you choose to be a dog trainer, you're going to have a hectic schedule and not make a lot of money from it. Sadly, I remember when I was first starting my business, one of my mentors said to me, you're going to be working nights and weekends all of the time. You're going to be working at least 6, if not 7 days a week. That's just the way it is. If you're not willing to do that, get a different career. But that's wrong. It doesn't have to be that way. You can choose how many hours that you work. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about, and a message that I want all dog trainers to know is that there's no rules for how many hours that you work or how much that you charge for it. Speaking of how much you charge, another reason that trainers are burning out is financial stress. Whether you are charging appropriately or not, sometimes business can be unpredictable. And if you aren't managing your finances well and having an emergency fund, a savings buffer, you may feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants and you are on a roller coaster with the natural ups and downs of business. There are ways around it, and again, that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people to run profitable and sustainable businesses and have methods to deal with any fluctuations that may arise from influences outside of our control. Financially, there's also just the costs of running a business, but again, this can be addressed if you have your finances well organized and you're charging appropriately. And then some people feel a pressure to continuously find a stream of new clients. because they feel like that is the only way to keep a stream of income, is to be constantly searching and chasing and advertising and trying to get more and more and more new people in. And again, you will feel more pressure to do that if you are charging really low rates, and getting new people in is the only way that you can keep making more money, seeing more and more people. And then that ties into the schedule thing, because to fit all these new people in, you have to do more hours, and you have to do that wearing yourself out just to make just enough. And again, it doesn't have to be that way, but unfortunately for a lot of dog trainers, it is that way. Another reason trainers burn out is, again, to deal with working with clients. So client expectations and pressure. Managing unrealistic expectations from clients is really common. Stress from clients who may be uncooperative or inconsistent with the training. The stress of maybe answering the same questions and repeating yourself over and over again, and having the owner then go ahead and not listen and then complain again about the issue not changing because they didn't listen. And again, this can be addressed by having boundaries in place and attracting more ideal clients as much as possible. You don't have to work with every single person that comes along. And again, this has to do with setting up a sustainable and profitable dog training business. But at the moment, a lot of you are facing, and I've faced as well, and they still pop up from time to time, difficult clients, or clients that maybe they're not difficult in themselves, but it's just the difficult nature of coaching someone through something and trying to keep them accountable, feeling like you're having to hold their hand, and just the emotional weight of that. Sometimes something else that contributes to a dog trainer burning out in their business is feeling like they've got a lack of professional support. So a lack of community of people that understand what they're going through and the kind of work that they do and the stresses that come with that. It can be a bit lonely running your own business, especially if you don't have other business friends that are close to you or that you can talk to often. And that's something that I've had to face, because when I started out, there wasn't many other dog trainers here, and I was more in a scarcity mindset back then, so I didn't really want to get close to those trainers at the time. Actually, I ended up making good friends with one of them, but then he moved away. But a lot of my trainer friends have been at a distance, and we have mostly had a relationship over phone calls and messenger, and that's great, it's helpful, but not everyone has that. We're lucky with the internet that we can make those communities and reach out to people and network a lot better, but it's not quite the same as having someone in your close circle that really understands on that level what you're going through, is it? So business can be lonely in that way. Another reason for burnout is compassion fatigue, and a lot of dog trainers go through this because I think that dog training and working with animals on the whole attracts a certain kind of people, and they're often a really empathetic kind of person that feels deeply and cares deeply about those results. So if we're absorbing the emotions of a dog owner that's stressed, a dog that is stressed, dogs from all different backgrounds that may be going through some really serious issues, balancing the empathy for animals and clients with your personal emotional health and things that are going on in your personal life, it can be a lot. So it's something to really prioritize, is to look after your mental health and your self-care. Another thing that can contribute to burnout is the pressure to feel like you're doing everything yourself. And again, you don't have to do everything yourself, but a lot of dog trainers are. And I particularly am thinking of marketing and social media and all the things that go on behind the scenes in the admin side of the business, making content and then engaging with people online. A lot of trainers are introverts, and that can be a real drain on our energy and emotions again. And then you have the whole issue in dog training that there's this big divide, and there's often a war in the comment section. And even if we don't participate, sometimes even just seeing that there and being aware of it can be draining. And I know that's something that I have struggled with, even though I don't get involved in any debates or anything like that. Just seeing it there, it can stress me out. So I've got to try and put up a shield and sort of protect my energy from that. And I think that's something that most of us have to do. Something that can cause burnout for anyone in any business is a lack of boundaries. And we can get close to our cases, like I mentioned earlier. So if we're a certain type of people too, again, I think dog training does attract a certain type. We can be people pleasers sometimes. We can find it difficult to enforce boundaries that we want to have. We can find it difficult to say no. Maybe we're answering messages in the middle of the night, and then that sets a precedent. You're sort of training your clients of what to expect from you. A lot of new trainers fall into this when they're first starting their business and they're really excited about it. They're answering texts and emails at all hours, and then as the business grows and gets busier and they're facing all these other things that we've talked about today, that can become a lot. So it's important to have boundaries in place from the beginning and really try your best to enforce those boundaries. And if you have trouble with that, maybe you have trouble saying no to people, really work on that and make that a goal, because it will help you to have more balance in your life and with your emotions. And finally, we have the last contributor that I had in my notes today was sort of a passion-related fatigue. So if you are in a passion-based business, you got into this because you love it. Sometimes when all of these other factors contribute towards some stress and burnout, it's easy to risk losing our passion or feeling like we've lost it, maybe even temporarily. We might worry about the risk of turning our passion into a job and therefore sort of eroding the passion and losing it. A lot of the time, this also happens because we're too hard on ourselves. We have really high expectations of ourselves and we put pressure on ourselves from the inside. So again, this comes back to making sure all those other areas I mentioned today are balanced, making sure that you set aside time for yourself, for other hobbies that are not dog related. I highly recommend that anyway. And for spending time with your own family and your own dogs aside from work. And when we run our own business, we are in charge of our schedule, and that's a great thing. But sometimes it blurs the lines between our personal life and our professional life. And it's up to us to set schedules into place and structure and assign time to make sure that we're having all of our needs met and we're not just living for our business, but our business is being run to support our lifestyle. Let me know in the comments if you've ever faced burnout from being a dog trainer and what you think the cause was and how did you address it. Maybe you're going through it now. Let us know. It's very common and we're here for you. So if you need help to improve your business, I'll put some links in the video description, and I recommend that you start with my free on-demand webinar, How to Grow Your Dog Training Business with Clients That You Love. And it's all about creating a more free business that you can stay passionate about while also being able to increase your profits so that you can also have a life outside of your business. Thanks for joining me today. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.